It is night, the night of time. And from the depths of the ages, voices rise up to meet you.
O Nile, father of life, all hail to you. When your waters rise and your bounty overwhelms us,
the earth trembles with ecstasy. Life is reborn. All is nurtured.
But when you subside, the very gods despair.
And men become slighter than their shadows.
O Nile, restore joy to men's hearts. O Nile, axis of all Egypt, rise and let your voice be heard.
We hail you, Harpy, when you come forth from your cavern.
Empty the two great water jugs you carry in your hands. Give us the gift of yourself.
Come to our aid, you who are the source of all life.
The seeds are withering away.
Children cry with hunger, and old men's hearts are heavy.
We implore you. Look, they are already preparing the sacrifice in the temple.
I see them.
O Nile, raise your voice. Let it thunder forth.
I have heard your prayers. Very soon I shall leave my bed, and your granaries will once more be swollen with wheat. But I cannot shower my blessings on you until the sign is given.
What sign?
This is the last night of the year, and I must wait until Sophis, the dog star, appears in the east before I can grant your wishes. For 70 days it has not appeared, but when dawn comes, it will call me. The sun will slowly begin to rise, and I will overflow my banks and leave my bed. So it was, every year for thousands and thousands of years.
Every year? Except when your waters dry up, or even disappear. Then there is famine, and the gods must listen to men's lamentations and undo the harm, the drought your absence brings them.
That time is past. Now things have changed.
Changed?
Who is this that speaks to me in the night?
Some know me as Juno, others as Bellona, still others as the Virgin.
And the Egyptian?
Their ancient wisdom has taught them my real name. And you too will learn it when you hear my gold-bangled priestesses chanting the words engraved on the trees of my sanctuary.
Mistress of Nubia, Queen of Upper and Lower Egypt,
you have revealed the power of woman.
you are the light in men's hearts, ruling over fire, wind, and lightning.
Your power is equal to that of men.
From the Egyptian Nile to the great Ganges in India, as far even as Lutetia.
Now I know you. You are Isis, the Venerable.
Yes, I am Isis. I'm the unhappy goddess, for I can no longer find my temple in this chaos of rock. It has disappeared, swallowed up by your water.
You are mistaken, Isis. Look, here. If you gaze through the ninth arch of the colonnade, you may once again see the island of Semnon, which modern men call Bige, that rocky isle which first received the bounty of my waters.
Here lies the tomb of Osiris.
Osiris, your husband and brother. This island where you came at 10-day intervals.
Yes, Abaddon, the hidden place, the sacred place where I came to pour out libations of milk. to give my husband eternal youth.
Yes, Semnon is still there. Look, Isis. Nothing has changed.
But where is my temple? Have your swirling waters carried it off forever?
No, it has been saved. Look.
Wonderful.
You, who are the goddess of this place, you will see and hear once again what humans may only imagine. You can read the scrolls in the magnificent library, and when you enter the temple courtyard, you will see once again on the left, the same side as your heart, the peristyle of Mamizi, that happy place where you gave birth to your son, Horus. Horus, with his finger always in his mouth.
Yes, I remember.
Now men will always remember. Look. And listen. First comes the watchman, the high priest of the constellations, climbing to his post atop the monumental gateway.
I have counted the night hours, and now the stars grow pale. The night loses its strength. Lamps are lit, and the temple comes to life again. Let the goddess's repast be carried to her.
What are you looking at, Isis?
Those faces smashed. Who has dared?
The Christians too came to Philae, and blinded by their new faith. But now the sun has risen. We will enter the temple. You see, Isis, nothing has changed. Look.
Yes, I see. Behind the gateways, I see the slow procession forming. My priests robed in linen, my musicians in their long robes. Those bearing the offerings put on their loincloths and raise aloft perfumes, flowers, desert gazelles.
On the other side of this door, the legend of Isis and Osiris will begin, as it was engraved on these high walls, as it is repeated without end. Let us watch.
Generations move onwards and succeed each other. The ancestors vanish into immortality, and the procession continues without pause, as it has for thousands of years. No one comes back from death's bourne to tell us what is there. Oh, tell us what the dead lack, and our hearts will be at peace until we ourselves die and join them there. What does our stay on earth signify? It is the space of a dream, the time of a dream, yea, of a dream.
And you who hear my voice, you who have come from the four corners of the earth to admire Egypt's treasure, which a French sailor once called the fur of Egypt. Come, You too may enter the temple of Isis, the immortal goddess. See, O goddess, on the threshold, the sacred rock with its words carved in granite to perpetuate the memory of men.
Let the voices of the chorus resound against the ancient tiles of the ceiling.
You are awake, Isis. You are at peace. Your women are dancing for you, playing the harp, the lute, and the tambourine.
I, the High Priest of the Temple of Isis, order that 2 young and pure maidens be brought here. Let their heads be adorned with heavy wigs, and may their names, those names which make our hearts beat faster, be embroidered on their shoulders.
And so, theater, born of a religious ceremony, was performed in your honor, Isis.
I play the role of Isis, perfumed with lotus flowers.
And I, that of her sister Nephthys.
Speak, Isis.
Why so pale and troubled?
Ah, my sister, how should I not be troubled? This dreadful thing. Speak. Our brother, Seth,
My husband,
has committed an abominable crime.
yet another,
You know his jealousy of Osiris, the good and just God.
who is both your husband and your brother.
Your brother, too. Thus the divine legend has it. But do not interrupt me. I must tell you of his crime. Seth invited Osiris and 72 other guests to a great banquet. As the meal ended, he ordered that a richly decorated coffer be brought. Listen, I will let you hear his voice.
Listen, all of you. I give this coffer to him whose body fits it perfectly.
Osiris was the only one whose body filled it exactly. But as soon as he lay down,
Come, all of you. Seal the lid and throw it in the Nile. Let the current carry it off.
thus did it happen.
Atrocious deed.
We must both leave in search of Osiris's body,
As far as the sea,
even beyond.
Osiris, god of the earth and all that grows, will be resurrected from death.
like the land of Egypt, which, after its annual death,
Springs once more to life.
Thus it came to pass. I left with my sister Nephthys.
Let us listen to the story.
You have heard it, 100 times.
Yes, and I never tire of it.
We searched for Osiris's body.
The coffin we found in Byblos. A tree had already covered it with its trunk and its roots.
I petitioned the king to let me have the coffin.
But Seth, my husband and brother, arrived in a rage and cut the body of Osiris into 14 pieces, scattering them throughout Egypt.
In fact, there were 16 pieces, which he cast into my waters.
The tale is told in many ways. One of the pieces was carried off by the fish Silu.
Come, we must set off again.
We searched in every country until we found her. I pieced Osiris's body together and embalmed it. I beat my wings furiously above him, and the great wind that arose breathed a moment's life into his body.
You beat your wings over him and brought him back to life. You resurrected him, and the plants began to live again.
He sowed his seed in me, and I gave horrors to the world, here in the secret place of Mabisi.
Your son became Lord of Egypt and the universe.
Isis, the faithful wife, faithful even beyond death.
Yes, even beyond death.
Seal and open the tabernacle. Here is the image of Isis, and now the 10th day begins. Isis, take your place in the sacred bark which will carry you to Semnon, to Osiris's tomb, to pour out your libations of life-giving milk. Then offerings must be placed on 365 tables, so that woods and fields will grow green again.
This I will do, for Osiris is the spirit of the plant kingdom.
Stop the tambourines! While Philae is dedicated to the living, Semnon is dedicated to the dead god, the murdered god, whom Isis helped triumph over death. We must neither beat drums nor play the flute. Silence. At Semnon, we will neither hunt birds nor catch fish.
Not even the one that swallowed Osiris's manhood?
Not even he. For the beating of your wings brought Osiris back to life. Forgive him, Isis. You promised that after Osiris's death you would do only good.
I forgive him.
Isis, your bark has arrived at Semnon, at Abaton, the hidden place, and the libations begin.
The Christians?
Yes, they are sailing towards us.
Their chants resemble those sung in Myron.
History is continually renewed, Isis. Come now. We will go into your great hall with its 10 columns that the Greeks call hypostyle. We approach your sanctuary where the 10 images of your face will welcome you. Come. And then...
What now?
Then we will pass by the temple of Hathor, she who also suckled your son, Horus.
Hathor is another one of my 1,000 manifestations. I rest on her bosom.
It seems she welcomes us already.
Mirth reigns in every part.
The temple and the island are filled with joy.
Hathor, hail to your beauty. Hathor, lady of mirth and joy. You have returned to Philae with the coming of Sophis the Dog Star.
There it is, the path of the rising sun. Its radiance announces the first dawn of the year, the return of Osiris. Look, the sky is glowing pink. And there, in the same place, the sun, like a great golden lotus, rises above my waters. The sign has been given. I can take possession of Egypt and baptize it with my life-giving waters. will distribute my largesse. The cattle will tread your swollen land, and trample the seed into the ground. Your harvests will be legendary.
Radiant light that overwhelms our hearts.
The water of life rushes hither. Harpy floods all Egypt and Nubia.
Life at last.
You see, Isis, nothing has changed. Once more, dawn rises on the gilded temple of the goddess Hathor. Speak to her.
We hear you, Hathor, manifestation of myself. Mother of the divine falcon and the blazing sun born triumphantly between your horns.
Ah, yes.
Hathor, son, why? You are the goddess of mirth, dance, and joy. Look at your temple, so beautiful in the rays of the rising sun.
Look rather at your own temple, Isis, before you look at mine. Do you not see that I have good reason to sigh? Your monumental gates dwarf me. I was not here at Philae when the king Nectanebo built the great gates in the hypostyle hall. 2 Ptolemies, the 6th and the 8th, took pity on me and built a small temple to console me. Later, Augustus the Roman decorated my walls to console me.
To console?
Yes, because here all speak of your glory, none of mine.
Always the same. You are unjust, Hathor. Read what is engraved on your walls and the columns my waters caress.
Hathor, hundreds of sanctuaries have been built for you all over Egypt. In Thebes, Dandara, and Memphis. You are the goddess of great mountains and distant countries. Let me have the key.
Every year the people implore you to return to Philae. Your high-breasted, curly-headed priestesses welcome you back once more to Philae.
We will always welcome you. The whole island is given over to joy.
Ah, yes. 'Tis true, to joy as it is today. These words have warmed my heart.
Thus is Hathor consoled.
It is well for her, but I am not concerned. I cannot accustom myself to this change. My sanctuary is all scattered. But in mourning my murdered Osiris, I fed your floodwaters with my tears. Today your flooding is only a memory in Egypt that grows dimmer with every new generation.
So much the better. What does it matter if the dams men have built to retain my waters leave no room for their poetry? For now, flowing from my birthplace in deepest Africa, I have become truly the storehouse of Eden.
You did not always speak thus. In the past, you fed Egypt at your whim. O Hathor, who gave Egypt to the world.
Now I give it back to the Egyptians. Do I not have the right to change, like my waters, changing from green to red, from the green of the tall grasses torn from the banks of Sudan to the red silt of African mud?
But your overflowing waters once gave life to these banks.
I wasted my riches. More than half escaped to the sea. I was too generous and often too miserly. When the life-giving flow was absent, famine stalked the land. And there's something else.
What else?
Now my tumbling waters give Egypt a new life of light and energy.
Why did you let them tame you?
But is it not best for everyone? I am old and growing tired. It is a long journey, 6,600 kilometers as men measure today. Besides, they were right.
They?
Men. The men and women from all over the world who banded together to save your temple and bring it here.
I liked it better when it was mirrored in your waters.
I'm not far away.
Now you do not come inside my walls.
So much the better.
How so?
Because when I embraced your temple, I weakened your columns. My waters eddied around your foundations. Your monumental gateways would have fallen. Your images and your graffiti, the voices of the dead would have been obliterated. So, Egypt called on all nations that admire the most brilliant of civilizations and call it their ancestor. Philae, Abu Simbel, and the other temples were to be saved from my waters. Help came from all over the world. First, with the magical memory boxes they have invented. Men copied down the tiniest detail of every stone in its exact location. Then the engineers and workmen came, as powerful as the great builders of the pyramids. They surrounded us, steamed the raw sand. Then they diverted my waters from this new of modern sarcophagus and began the Herculean task. With machines made in another world, lifted 40,000 blocks weighing ton upon ton, as tenderly as you, Isis, once cradled corals. This miracle. Philae is here, saved from the waters, and no one who has seen it would suspect that it has undergone the slightest change in 2,000 years.
But why did they do all that? Just to save a few inscriptions?
No, Isis. Not just to save the inscriptions carved on your walls, but the memory of them. The ceaseless ebb and flow of my waters between the two great dams would gradually have silenced the voices of those who once worshipped you here. Listen. Once they came, and their faces were reflected in my waters. Now they return at night to read what they once engraved upon your walls.
I, King Nectanebo, built your temple to be the glory of my reign, and I prostrated myself before you, Isis. I even danced before you.
And I, Ptolemy Philadelphus, I finished the temple and worshipped the Lady Isis.
Ptolemy Neos Dionysus here massacred 100 prisoners and offered their heads to Isis.
A homage I did not wish.
And from the southern lands, we came to the edge of Egypt, where deepest Africa ends, to see your domain.
How many times has Philae changed masters?
The Romans came, vanquished the Nomads, and pushed back the Blemmies. This was the zenith of Philae's glory.
I, the great Cleopatra VII, came here to worship the goddess Isis.
I, Antony, protected the throne of Cleopatra.
Reached Philae after a long march.
And I, Caius Cornelius Gallus, Roman warrior, vanquished the enemy in 2 pitched battles.
When Caesar was named consul for the 3rd time, I brought offerings to Isis and bowed down before her.
Trajan built this kiosk, which has become the symbol of Philae. Its 4 columns are etched in the memories of all who have come here.
Here is the sacred boat-shaped shrine.
The bed of the pharaoh.
He who has worshipped Isis here, the gods will smile upon him.
And we, the terrible Blemmies warriors who once laid the country waste, fell down in adoration before you, O Isis.
I, Maximim, commander of the Egyptian armies, allowed the Blemmies to take the statue of Isis, their protectress, to Nubia once a year.
The heavy bark carries the statue of Isis gently along the Nile. A priest stands before the sacred altar, and we accompany the goddess to her second home, her Nubian birthplace. And every year, we bring her back to Philae, where Egypt and Africa meet and part.
For I am the great artery feeding the lakes of Africa from south to north, as far as the Mediterranean.
Later, Justinian attacked the Blemmies and took your statue to Byzantium.
Christianity ruled the world, but the tribes of Nubia and the Sudan still made their pilgrimages here, and still your priests welcomed them.
During the spread of Christianity, I, Esmet Akom, was one of the last priests to keep the cult of Isis alive, to venerate Mandulis, son of the goddess, in Nubia.
I, Theodosius, bishop of Philae, raised the cross in the temple of Isis, and with a hammer destroyed the sensuous bas-reliefs of ancient goddesses. I was scandalized by these half-naked women with their transparent robes and jutting breasts.
So it was he.
Or perhaps the monks. But do not dwell on it, for they prayed in your temple, marked with their cross. Listen to the rest of the story.
550 flooding years after Jesus Christ, Justinian ordered the gates to be broken down. The sanctuary doors were smashed, and the high priests beaten and chased away. It was the turn of Islam to reach the banks of Philae. the minarets of Belal rose towards the sky, and in the middle of the island lay the tomb of a sheikh who united all the faithful. The site became Kasar, the castle of Anas el-Ughul.
I, Anas el-Ughul, loved the daughter of the Sultan with all my heart. Her name was Zarat el-Wad, and she was more beautiful than life. Her father disapproved of my passion and shut his daughter up. I could not eat or drink and took refuge in the desert. My only companions were the wild beasts who gave me their friendship. A monk told me that my beloved was held prisoner on Philae, and because I had been a friend of the animals, a crocodile took pity on me, and guided by the birds, carried me to her on his back. When I arrived at Philae, I learned that the shrewd and clever Zarat had used her clothes to make a rope and escaped from her prison. I found my beloved in hiding, not far from here, and she became my wife.
Conqueror succeeded conqueror. Napoleon's soldiers, too, carved their names on these stones and presented arms in homage to your beauty. But this new invasion had happy consequences.
I, Jean-François Champollion, first of a long line of Egyptologists from all over the world, deciphered your history engraved on these walls, on the Philae obelisk and the Rosetta Stone.
Pay homage to your beauty, O Isis. Your name still echoes proudly throughout the world.
Now the sun is setting.
And throughout this long day, men and women have come to adore you, Isis.
You are the source of all life. You command fire and light.
You are the source of all life.
You who gave immortality to the great Osiris.
Yes, you are the source of all life.
At the edge of the desert, Philae is born again, comes to life in its eternal beauty, like a fabulous mirage.
Yes, Philae, my island at the edge of Nubia. Thus is Osiris saved from the waters. Once again, my temple sparkles in the sun and glows with 1,000 lights, gladdening the hearts of those who love.